The final buzzer sounds. Game over. But for Dijonai Carrington, the real game was just beginning. What happened next has the entire WNBA talking, and it's not about basketball. We need to talk about what's happening to this league and why Caitlyn Clark might be watching all of this unfold with serious concern. Here's what we witnessed. Another post-game incident involving Dijonai Carrington. Another confrontation.
Whoa!
Another moment where professional basketball took a back seat to unnecessary drama.
With no whistle.
This time, it was SATOU SABALLY on the receiving end. And honestly, we've reached a breaking point.
Her trying to interrupt the Phoenix Mercury's huddle and start a fight with SATOU SABALLY and Mercury players. Let's look at this nonsense. You guys need to put a stop to this.
The WNBA is experiencing unprecedented growth. We've got record viewership, sold-out arenas, and genuine mainstream attention for the first time in years. But instead of capitalizing on this momentum, we're watching certain players turn the court into their personal battlefield. And at the center of this storm sits Caitlyn Clark, the very player who brought many of these new eyes to the league.
The WNBA is still climbing. It doesn't have the luxury of cannibalizing its own momentum. Caitlyn Clark isn't just a name on a jersey. She's the engine, the billboard, the ratings bump, the ticket spike, the merch wave. And right now, the league is acting like she's just another sophomore to be hazed. Spoiler, she's not.
Let's break down what actually happened. The game ends, and instead of heading to the locker room like a professional, Carrington approaches the Phoenix Mercury huddle. Not her team's huddle, the opposing team's huddle. She goes straight for SATOU SABALLY, and what follows is exactly what you'd expect when you crash someone else's team moment.
It's an 80 win for Phoenix. Our next Mercury broadcast is Sunday.
The optics are terrible. You've got Carrington's teammates having to physically restrain her. You've got security scrambling. You've got fans in the stands recording everything on their phones. This isn't competitive fire. This is calculated disruption. Here's the thing that's really troubling. Timing. The Wings just lost their 10th game of the season. They're 1-10.
Wow, another one. This is a night to remember for number 5.
Instead of focusing on how to improve, instead of showing leadership to younger players, instead of demonstrating the professionalism that should define this league, Carrington decides the best response to another loss is to start problems with the winning team.
And cooler heads are prevailing, luckily, at the end of the game. So the Mercury moved to 7-4. Dallas falls to 1.
This isn't isolated. We've seen this movie before with Carrington. The aggressive play that crosses lines, the post-game antics, the confrontations with officials, the social media drama. There's a clear pattern here, and it's becoming impossible to ignore. What's particularly troubling is the calculated nature of these incidents. Carrington isn't picking fights with everyone. She's strategic about her targets. You won't see her pulling this behavior with players who might actually respond in kind. She targets players she perceives as less likely to escalate, which makes this even more problematic. SATOU SABALLY is a skilled professional player who came to Dallas.
Her and SATOU SABALLY had a powerful exchange after this game. And you already know, Phoenix put the beast on Dallas. Dallas, one of the worst teams in the league.
And has conducted herself with class.
Really been able to take over that veteran leadership.
McCowan looking for Sabally inside. She's got the size advantage on hold.
She doesn't deserve to be someone's target practice for manufactured drama. The fact that Carrington feels comfortable approaching another team's huddle to start problems speaks to a complete lack of boundaries and respect.
Carrington right there saying, we were just talking.
Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Caitlyn Clark, the player who brought unprecedented attention to this league, the rookie who had everyone talking about women's basketball, the same player who faced unnecessarily aggressive treatment throughout her first season. Clark didn't just show up to play basketball. She showed up as a cultural phenomenon, She brought new fans, new sponsors, new energy, and new hope to a league that desperately needed all of those things. She represented the future of women's basketball, a bridge between college stardom and professional excellence. Instead of embracing this moment, instead of protecting their golden ticket, some players decided to treat Clark like she needed to be welcomed to the league through aggressive play and hostile treatment. They turned what should have been a celebration of growth into a hazing ritual. And now we're seeing the same energy directed at other players. The pattern continues. The question becomes, how long before talented players start looking elsewhere? How long before Caitlyn Clark decides she doesn't need to deal with this level of unprofessionalism? Where is Commissioner Cathy Engelbert in all of this? The league office has been remarkably quiet about these repeated incidents. We get generic statements about sportsmanship and professionalism, but where are the meaningful consequences? Where are the suspensions that actually impact behavior? The WNBA is at a crossroads. They can either establish clear standards and enforce them consistently, or they can continue to let certain players treat the league like their personal drama stage. But they can't do both and expect to maintain credibility. Professional sports leagues succeed when they protect their stars and maintain standards of conduct. The NBA doesn't let players crash opposing team huddles to start fights. The NFL doesn't tolerate repeated unsportsmanlike conduct without consequences. Why should the WNBA be different? The silence from league leadership sends a message. This behavior is acceptable. That message is dangerous for a league trying to establish itself as a premier professional sports organization. Let's zoom out for a moment. The WNBA is finally having its moment. Corporate sponsors are paying attention, television networks are investing, young girls are buying jerseys and dreaming of professional careers. This is what decades of players and advocates work toward. But moments like these threaten to undermine all of that progress. Instead of highlight reels showcasing incredible athleticism and skill, we're talking about post-game altercations and unprofessional behavior. Instead of celebrating the talent and competitiveness of these athletes, we're analyzing confrontations and drama.
Slap by Carrington.
The league doesn't have the luxury of allowing its reputation to be damaged by players who can't control themselves. Every incident like this gives ammunition to critics who question the professionalism of women's sports. Every unnecessary confrontation provides content for those who want to diminish the league's credibility. Players like Caitlyn Clark, Aja Wilson, Brianna Stewart, and Diana Taurasi have worked too hard and achieved too much for their sport to be overshadowed by unnecessary drama. They deserve better from their colleagues. The solution isn't complicated. It requires leadership from the top and accountability at every level. Commissioner Engelbert needs to establish clear consequences for this behavior and enforce them consistently. Players need to police themselves and their teammates. Coaches need to emphasize professionalism alongside performance. The WNBA has an opportunity to set the standard for how professional sports leagues should operate. They can show that competitive fire and mutual respect aren't mutually exclusive. They can demonstrate that growing the game doesn't require manufactured controversy, but this requires decisive action. Half measures and empty statements won't change behavior. Real consequences might. The league also needs to protect its stars and rising talent. Players like Caitlyn Clark shouldn't have to choose between pursuing their professional dreams and dealing with unnecessary hostility. The WNBA should be recruiting the best talent, not driving it away through poor conduct standards. The WNBA is at its most promising point in league history. The momentum is real, the opportunity is unprecedented, and the talent level has never been higher. But momentum can be lost as quickly as it's gained. Dijonai Carrington's behavior represents everything the league should be moving away from. The WNBA deserves better. The fans deserve better. And players like Caitlyn Clark, who brought new life to this league, definitely deserve better. What do you think? Should the league take stronger action against this type of behavior? How can the WNBA protect players like Caitlyn Clark?
In pain after She caught that fingertip in the eye or right around it from Carrington,
while maintaining competitive intensity. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and if you found this analysis helpful, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more WNBA coverage. We'll see you in the next video.